Get out of my gym. Ethan Brooks, a 220-pound MMA fighter, towered over Emily Carter at the Metro Fight Hub, his massive frame blocking her path as she tried to enter the training area. "Women like you belong in Pilates class, not here with real fighters," he sneered. The gym members burst into laughter as Ethan flexed his muscles mockingly. Someone started filming. Emily stood still, her weathered hands steady at her sides. For a moment, her sleeve shifted, revealing a faded tattoo, a military emblem partially visible. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she took a measured breath. They had just targeted the wrong woman. I wonder where you're watching this story unfold from today. Whether you're in a bustling city like Boston, a quiet town in the heartland, or maybe the sunny coast of Texas, you've probably seen someone underestimated before. You know the shock on faces when someone proves their doubters wrong. But rarely does it happen quite like this. Emily Carter was a woman of few words. At 38, her slender build and reserved demeanor often led people to misjudge her strength. She lived in a modest two-bedroom apartment on the east side of the city, with worn brick exteriors and balconies just big enough for one chair. It wasn't much, but it suited her and the collection of medals and commendations stored in a plain oak box in her closet. 8 years had passed since her honorable discharge from the U.S. Army Special Forces, where she was among the first women to complete their rigorous combat training. 8 years since she chose a quieter life over military service. Now, Emily worked as a physical therapist at Willow Creek Recovery Center, helping athletes and injury victims regain strength and mobility. Her colleagues respected her knowledge of body mechanics and her calm, effective approach. What they didn't know was that her expertise came not just from textbooks, but from years of elite military training. Emily kept her past private, her unit insignia tattoo hidden under clinic scrubs or casual shirts, a personal reminder of who she'd been. 2 years ago, Emily's father, Thomas Carter, lost a brief battle with cancer. A former Army Ranger, he had been her inspiration, cheerleader, and rock throughout her military career. His absence left a void she struggled to fill. For months after his funeral, she trained at a small private gym on the city's outskirts, practicing the hand-to-hand combat drills he'd taught her since childhood. It was her meditation, her way to connect with her father's memory. She kept his dog tags in her gym bag, a tangible link to the man who taught her that precision and patience trump brute strength. The idea to try mixed martial arts came from a patient, a college wrestler recovering from a shoulder injury. "With your understanding of body mechanics," he said during a session, "you'd probably pick up MMA fast. It might help with the grief you're carrying." Emily laughed it off at first, but the suggestion took root. She began watching training videos, practicing basic moves in her living room, slowly building confidence in this new discipline. There was something appealing about the challenge, about proving she could grow in civilian life while honoring the skills her father helped her develop. After months of solo practice, Emily decided to join a proper gym. Metro Fight Hub had a solid reputation and offered classes for all skill levels. It was on her third visit that she met Ethan Brooks, the gym's self-proclaimed star and the owner's nephew. Ethan had a respectable 15-2 record in regional MMA competitions and a strong online following, built on his flashy style and outspoken commentary. He thrived on being the center of attention, expecting newcomers to defer to his expertise and established members to acknowledge his status. Emily's quiet focus and quick learning curve caught his eye, but not in a good way. On the morning of their first confrontation, Emily arrived early to practice combinations on a heavy bag. Dressed in simple black leggings and a loose long-sleeved shirt, her brown hair in a practical ponytail, nothing about her suggested her military background or the years of elite combat training that shaped her. She was just another new face in a gym of aspiring fighters and fitness enthusiasts. Ethan and his crew entered the training area like a loud parade, their voices and energy filling the space. Emily kept working, focusing on her form and breathing, until Ethan deliberately bumped into her bag. "Sorry, didn't see you there," he said with a smirk that suggested otherwise. "We need this area for real training." His friends snickered, forming a semicircle around the scene. Emily stepped back, her face neutral, avoiding conflict. "No problem," she said, moving to grab her things. As she reached for her water bottle, Ethan snatched it first. "Nice form for a beginner," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "But this isn't Fit Zone. We train serious fighters here." He tossed her bottle across the room, where it clattered against the wall and rolled under a weight rack. Laughter followed as Emily quietly retrieved it and left, feeling the gym's eyes on her. That first encounter set the tone for a pattern of intimidation and exclusion. "He does this to every woman who doesn't fit his idea of who belongs here," explained Jessica, a kickboxing instructor, in the locker room. "You're either eye candy for him and his buddies or a target." The warning didn't prepare Emily for the relentless campaign that followed. In the weeks ahead, she faced a barrage of humiliation designed to drive her away. It started with gym members, many of whom took cues from Ethan. When paired with Emily for drills, they either went too easy, treating her like glass, or overly rough, testing her resolve. In the locker room, she overheard comments about her age, the mom trying to be cool, and her build, too skinny for the sport. A group of women in her class clustered together, isolating Emily. Even those who seemed sympathetic stayed silent, unwilling to challenge the gym's hierarchy. "Just quit before it gets worse," one woman advised quietly. "I almost did. It's not worth the stress." Ethan and his inner circle turned harassment into a craft. When Emily joined his advanced techniques class, Ethan used her as a demonstration dummy, applying holds with excessive force that left bruises. His friends hid her gear, took equipment she'd reserved, and crowded her space during workouts. They nicknamed her Nana, despite her being only 38, and the name spread through the gym. During circuit training, Ethan assigned her impossible exercise variations, setting her up for public failure. "That's all you've got?" he'd ask loudly when she struggled. "Maybe try the senior class down the street." The gym's management, tied to Ethan through family, offered no refuge. Emily's first complaint to the owner, Robert Brooks, was dismissed. "That's just how fighters are," he said, not looking up from his paperwork. "If you can't handle trash talk, this isn't the place for you." The front desk staff often lost her class reservations, forcing her to leave or join overcrowded sessions. The billing department double-charged her account 1 month, and when she pointed it out, the manager suggested with a sneer that Fit for Less might suit your speed and budget. The humiliation extended online. When Emily joined local MMA forums, her questions about techniques were mocked. "Let me guess," wrote a user pictured with Ethan. "You started last week and think you're an expert?" Her application for a local tournament was rejected for experience requirements that seemed selectively applied. At a community demo event, organizers paired her with absolute beginners despite her progress, while promoting less skilled members backed by Ethan. Veterans dismissed her insights and discussions, though the same points were praised when voiced by male members. The situation hit a low when a local sports blogger visited the gym for a feature on the city's MMA scene. The article, "Fitness Newbies Flooding MMA," the amateur issue, included a photo of Emily struggling with a complex move, capturing her at her most vulnerable. The piece didn't name her, but used her image as the face of casual enthusiasts who dilute the sport's intensity. It went viral in regional fighting circles, racking up hundreds of comments. Some of Emily's physical therapy clients saw it, leading to awkward questions about her professionalism. Through it all, Emily stayed composed, showing up for classes and improving despite the hostile environment. In private, she touched her father's dog tags and recalled his advice from her Special Forces days. Let them underestimate you. That's your edge. She honed her technique, studied videos at home, and made steady progress unnoticed by those set on her failure. Each slight fueled her, each obstacle a chance to prove the mental toughness that made her an elite soldier. She wasn't fighting for her country anymore. She was fighting for her right to define her path without intimidation. One Wednesday evening, after a grueling class where Ethan singled her out, Emily stayed late in the empty gym. She moved through combat forms with fluid precision, her mind clearing as she focused on her body's rhythm. Her breathing steadied her, much like during covert missions when silence was critical. She didn't notice Robert Brooks watching from the doorway until he spoke. "You're getting good," he said, surprising her with a rare compliment. "I've noticed you lately. You've got uncommon discipline for a newcomer." Emily nodded, unsure how to respond. Robert stepped closer, his usual brisk manner softened. "We've got our annual member challenge next month, open to all levels. Could be a chance to test yourself." His tone held curiosity, like he was assessing her. "I'll think about it," Emily replied, wary of more public scrutiny. Robert nodded and turned to leave, then paused. "My nephew can be intense," he said carefully. "The fight game gets to some people's heads. It's not personal." But it had become personal. The next day, Emily found her name on the challenge registration list, posted in the gym's lobby. Ethan stood nearby with his crew, grinning predatorily when he saw her confusion. "You signed up for the challenge?" he called, drawing attention. "Uncle Robert mentioned it. Bold move for your level." He swaggered over, invading her space. "Even think about showing up, and you'll regret it," he said, voice low but audible. "Some things aren't for everyone. Wouldn't want you getting hurt chasing Real athletes." The words hung in the air. Emily met his gaze directly, a rarity for her. "I'll be there," she said simply, then walked to the locker room. The exchange sparked whispers and glances. Ethan's crew intensified their harassment, determined to break her before the event. Rumors spread that Ethan had tailored the challenge to ensure newcomers, especially Emily, would fail spectacularly. Despite the pressure, Emily trained with renewed focus. The challenge gave her a clear goal, reminiscent of her military days. She refined techniques in early mornings and late evenings. At home, she studied past challenge recordings, analyzing patterns. The weekend before the event, she visited a secluded training facility owned by an old military friend. There, she refreshed advanced techniques from her service. "This is for you, Dad," she whispered, packing her gear, feeling grounded. The competition day was a clear autumn Saturday, drawing a large crowd to the gym: fans, friends, family, and onlookers. Emily arrived early in plain workout clothes, hair tied back, no flair to draw attention. She registered quietly and warmed up in a corner. Ethan made a grand entrance, surrounded by his entourage, wearing custom gear with his logo and sponsors. He ignored Emily, though his gaze flicked past her as he greeted fans. The challenge began with strength events, deadlifts, pull-ups, and a weighted sled push. Ethan excelled, setting high marks. Emily performed solidly, earning surprised nods from judges who expected less. The technical skills segment, grappling escapes, striking combinations, defensive maneuvers, showcased Emily's military training. Her precise, efficient movements caught Ethan's group's attention, their faces hardening. During the obstacle course, Emily was shoved from behind on a balance beam, nearly falling. She caught herself, seeing one of Ethan's friends back away with a smirk. "Watch your step," he said. Emily finished with a respectable time despite a strained ankle, noticed by murmuring spectators. Robert Brooks announced the final segment with flair. "This year, we're adding a combat simulation," he declared. "Competitors will show defensive techniques against an aggressor in a controlled setting." The crowd stirred, as many hadn't faced such a public test. Ethan laughed loudly. "This'll sort the real fighters from the hobbyists," he said, eyeing Emily. "Let's see if Nana remembers the basics." As competitors prepared, Emily stayed back, her face unreadable. Robert explained participants would demonstrate defensive moves against trained partners, judged on effectiveness and control. When Emily's turn neared, she shed her windbreaker, revealing a worn Army Special Forces shirt. The faded garment silenced nearby spectators. A judge with a military haircut looked up. "Is that a Delta Force insignia?" he asked, the question rippling through the crowd. Ethan overheard as Emily stepped onto the mat. Memories flooded her. Her father drilling her in combat, the grueling Special Forces selection, missions where her skills meant survival. "Some opponents don't respect your badge," her father had said. "Your body is your weapon." The memory steeled her. Ethan pushed forward, smirking. "I'll help the lady out," he announced. "I'll go easy on you, Nana." The instructor hesitated, looking to Robert, who nodded. Emily faced Ethan on the mat. The instructor stressed a controlled demonstration. Contact, no power. Ethan nodded dismissively, bouncing eagerly, seeing a chance to humiliate her. Emily stood relaxed yet alert, her stance subtle but ready. The instructor signaled the start, and Ethan lunged with excessive force. What followed was swift. Emily sidestepped, deflecting his arm with her left hand while her right struck his neck and shoulder. Her foot hooked his ankle, using his momentum. Ethan's 220-pound frame crashed to the mat, limp from a precise nerve strike to his brachial plexus. Silence fell. Emily stood calmly, no triumph or malice. The military judge clapped, followed by others, until applause filled the gym. Ethan staggered up, humiliated and disbelieving. His friend stood awkwardly. "That's a one-hit incapacitation technique," Emily explained, instructional. "It uses leverage and knowledge of weak points, not strength. Anyone can learn it." The crowd's reaction grew. Ethan shook off help, retreating to the mat's edge. His entourage followed hesitantly. Robert stepped forward. "We've had an elite operative among us," he announced. Emily Carter, former U.S. Army Special Forces. The crowd erupted, phones out to record. Ethan slipped to the locker room. Emily was swarmed with questions about her military past, answering briefly, uneasy with the spotlight. Emily's status at the gym transformed. Members sought her advice, women shared intimidation stories, and the sports blog requested an interview. A silent warrior, the Emily Carter story. Robert offered a free lifetime membership and a women's self-defense teaching role. Ethan's online accounts went quiet as comments about being dropped by a woman half his size flooded his posts. Emily faced a crossroads. Security firms, military contacts, and promoters offered opportunities. She declined most, but accepted a gym role, creating a self-defense program for the vulnerable, especially women. Ethan stayed away for weeks. When he returned, he trained alone, his swagger gone. Emily didn't approach, respecting his space. He eventually spoke up before her class. "Got a minute?" he asked quietly. Emily nodded. "I've been thinking," he said, "about how I treated you and others. My uncle said I crossed a line, but that's not why I'm here. You could have humiliated me, but you didn't. You were professional. That means something." Emily listened. "That wasn't my goal," she said. Ethan nodded. "I was focused on looking tough, not real strength." My buddies bailed when I wasn't top dog. Made me rethink who I am. He met her eyes. I'm sorry. If you want me to leave, I will. Emily considered him. This was your space first, she said. I'm not here to push anyone out. She picked up a focus mitt. I noticed a flaw in your guard. Want to fix it? Ethan nodded, a small smile breaking through. Their exchange grew into a respectful collaboration. Ethan's skills improved under Emily's guidance, her teaching benefiting from his experience. Their dynamic shifted the gym's culture. Ethan's old crew faded, replaced by serious practitioners. New members, especially women, joined, drawn by Emily's classes and the gym's new focus. Emily found healing, wearing her father's dog tags openly and sharing her military past modestly. Her special forces training became practical wisdom in her teaching. She invited students to specialized drills, fostering mental toughness. Several, including Ethan, deepened their practice, forming a dedicated group. 6 months later, the gym hosted an exhibition for Emily's self-defense program, drawing law enforcement, women's groups, and publications. Emily led with confidence, Ethan assisting with focus and respect. As the exhibition ended to applause, a young woman approached Emily. Is it true you were in Delta Force? She asked, awed. My brother's in the military and told me about you. Emily smiled, touching her father's dog tags. I served, she said. But that's not the main part of who I am. The woman pressed, curious. How did you go from special forces to taking down a pro fighter in one move? Emily looked at the community around her. Some battles are won with precision and dignity, she said. The strongest statement isn't dominating others. It's refusing to let them define you. Robert approached. 3 more gyms want your program, he said excitedly. Emily nodded, focused on creating a space where skills trumped intimidation. Her influence was a welcome byproduct, not her drive. That evening, alone in the quiet gym, Emily moved through blended military and teaching techniques. The space felt hers now. She hadn't sought revenge or to change the gym or Ethan's attitude, just refused to be limited. The rest followed naturally. Outside, the city's lights glowed, a tapestry of hidden stories, veterans in ordinary jobs, quiet professionals, unassuming women with strength. Her story was one of millions, notable for its brief visibility. Tomorrow, someone else's strength would shine. The quietest people carry the most powerful stories. In America, we overlook hidden chapters. The woman at the store might be a former operator, the man on the bus a lifesaver, the therapist an elite soldier. If you were Emily, would you have forgiven those who mocked you or walked away? Share in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe and join our Everyday Life Stories community, celebrating quiet strength, real struggles, and unexpected victories. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment. We love hearing from our viewers worldwide.